In verse 4, we see that whenever they went up to worship, Elkanah would give Peninnah and all of her children portions of the offering. This is particularly significant when we think who is to receive portions of the Lord's offering today. Well, I'd argue that it's for the whole of the baptized community. No age barrier is necessary. This is likely the peace offering, which would have been an offering that was shared between God and his people. This was basically an invitation to eat at the Lord's table for ancient Israel. In verse 5, we see Hannah, however, she received a double portion. She had no children, Peninnah had children. Hannah receives a double portion because she is loved particularly by Elkanah. We also see that Yahweh has closed Hannah's womb. This is something that I think we do well to dwell on more. I'm not aware of a positive, righteous example of an attempt to curtail human fruitfulness in the scriptures. We see unrighteous examples, as in the example of Onan in Genesis 38, but I don't think we see righteous examples of attempts to curtail human fruitfulness in scripture. In verse 6, we see there is friction in Elkanah's household. Hannah is afflicted, and her sister wife is a rival. She provokes Hannah. She provokes her because of this affliction, and she does so particularly, we see in verse 7, when they're coming to worship God. They're coming to worship God, and Peninnah decides this is the time to ramp up the heat and really dig in the screws to my sister wife and tease her for having no children. This is also something that kind of gives us a preview. In chapter 7, Israel will be attacked when they're coming out to worship God. When they're finally getting ready to renew covenant with God and restore fellowship with God, they're attacked by the Philistines at that time. When we come out to worship, we're also coming to engage in warfare, but it's something we can do so. We can come out and engage in warfare confidently. Think of Psalm 23. He prepares a table for me in the presence of my enemies. Verse 8, finally, Elkanah sees his wife's grief and attempts to comfort her, and he does so pretty badly. Says, honey, aren't I better to you than 10 sons? This is a rhetorical question that falls flat. The obvious answer is no. Hannah knows what every godly woman instinctively knows, that marriage is for producing children. That's one of the primary purposes. God says in Malachi, he desires godly seed. A husband's a wonderful thing for a woman, but children are a right and good fruit of that marriage, and when it's not present, there's something wrong. Despite what all our Disney movies and our current child-hating culture might tell us, Hannah knows instinctively that's wrong. And finally, for this section, when we think of this whole introduction, Elkanah's family situation gives us a lot of reminders of an early family situation of the scripture, and that is going to be the story of Jacob, Leah, and Rachel. Jacob had two wives initially, Rachel and Leah, sisters, and there was friction between them because Leah had the kids and Rachel had the love, but Hannah's a better Rachel because, as we'll see, instead of simply just desperately wanting children, a desire that killed her, Hannah goes and brings this request to God. She takes her, instead of contributing to the family strife, she brings her request to God, and as we'll see, God rewards her.